What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, whether you're watching us here on YouTube or listening in on the audio version at TalkTalkPunch.com or wherever you get your podcast, please consider subscribing, liking, giving us the star ratings on the podcasts. It all helps out. And then make sure you come back here every Wednesday to see what we're talking about. Kind of like this week's topic, we're talking about video game movies. We've talked about video games. We've talked about movies. We're putting them together like a sandwich and talking about some of the good, some of the bad, some of the middle ground ones, and then some stuff that we might be hopeful or our wish list ones. Ooh, surprise, surprise. I am Brody Hanson, joined by Charlie Hickman. Charlie, how's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. Can I start? Can we start with a little story unrelated?
Sure.
All
It's
right.
our show.
So,
We can do whatever we want.
so this isn't a picture, not my actual lawn shown here, but we had the lawn aerated,
Oh, yeah.
which they poke the holes in, and then you end up with these kind of like you know
I do it every spring.
interesting looking dirt.
Sure.
So my 2-year-old, he loves to point out poop. We have 2 dogs, and they poop in the backyard, and so he'll go out and he's just like, poop, big poop, and he just finds it, and he's just like, he detects it. He's a little detective. He's a poop detective,
Okay.
which, by the way, not a bad idea for an animated show. The poop detective.
Sure.
But so these little clods all over the lawn, just like as far as the eye could see, and he walked out, and his eyes were just like, poop, and just like a whole lawn of poop, and he just wandered like in a full, like he didn't want to walk on it because he knows to stay away from the poop. He's a detective, but he investigates from a distance because he's a smart poop detective. He has other people that work in a lab like us that pick up the poop, and then we take care of it. So, but he just made like a full like box around it, just like soaking in, like couldn't fathom where all this poop had just come from, as if like for the entirety of his existence we'd been saving up the poop of the dogs, and then just in one instant just threw it all over the lawn. And we're like, Felix, now this isn't poop, but still maybe just don't touch it, because I don't want him to get in the habit of thinking, well, all right, well, maybe this isn't poop, so I'll pick it up. So anyway, that was kind of a fun little anecdote for the day, but his little mind was blown by the sheer volume of what looked to be 1,000 poops on the lawn.
That's good. Yeah, get your lawn aerated.
Yeah,
Do it in the spring before it gets too hot.
Absolutely. There you go. Yeah, any lawn questions? You need any lawn tips? Brody's your guy. So let us know below.
Oh, I don't know. I try. I was mowing today, and yeah, it's tough. It's hot here in northern Nevada, and the grass doesn't always like the heat. So
it does not always like the true story.
It's tough.
All right. Well, I don't want to spoil our future lawn episode, so maybe we just get on to the.
So we've talked about video games. We've talked about some of our favorite video games. We've talked about the history of video games and how we grew up with video games. And then, our love of movies, obviously, video games turn into movies. In some studio says, hey, this is a popular video game, or yeah, let's make a movie out of it. And then they make it, and more often than not, it's a bad movie.
Yes.
And so yeah, we're gonna talk about some of this stuff.
We are going to talk
some of these bad ones.
And look, I'm here to help you out, Hollywood. We're gonna help fix the video game movie problem. By the end of this, we're having a summit, a meeting of minds, and by the end of this, we will have solved the problems. I got some thoughts, bro.
Oh,
but I know we want to start talking about some of the what's already done. We'll talk about the future later in the future,
man.
but for now, we can talk about the history. And man, there are some clunkers. Let me start. I like to start with trivia, bro.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And you can play along at home.
Sure.
And we're going to use Rotten Tomatoes, which is a very imperfect site for ratings, but we're going to use that today as the barometer.
As we found in previous episodes, we should probably find a new rating system.
I know they're all flawed, bro. What are you going to do? So, and please don't. If a movie seems interesting to you, see it. Don't trust random critics on the internet, or even us. Yeah. Although we won't steer you astray. What do you think were the first video game adaptation to cross over the 50% mark on the tomato meter? So 100% would be a perfect score.
Yeah.
So we're talking the very first video game movie to score above 50%, which, by the way, is a very low score still. So it's a very low bar to hurdle.
Is it? Oh, the first movie.
The very first movie to clear that 50% hurdle. I can give you a year if you need a hint.
No, that might make it too obvious.
It might, if you know your years.
Is it the first Resident Evil movie?
It is not. And just so you have a frame of reference, do you now that you know it was below 50%, do you want to take a guess at how far below the 50% mark that one is?
That one's below the 50%.
You know what? We'll save that for I'll spoil that at the end. I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead and answer the trivia question, or do you give up?
I'm sure the first Mortal Kombat is below 50%.
It is below 50%. I'm going to give you a year.
Okay,
just to speed this up.
Give me a year.
2018.
It took that long to get something over 50%?
And it came in with a score of 52%. But it was also followed up by another 2018 video game movie that came in with a score of 51%, but it was a month later. So.
Was it? No. I don't know.
That's right.
It
was the new Tomb Raider. So,
really?
It came in there at a 50. So not the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raiders, but Tomb Raider 2018, the reboot.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Alicia Vikander, I'm not sure.
Which they're making a sequel. I discovered as I was researching this.
Now, Rampage also cleared the mark in 2018 with a solid score of 51%.
That's on my HBO watch list.
Would you care to guess which is the first one to clear 60%? I'll give you a hint. It came afterwards.
It was probably Pikachu, right? Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu, correct. In 2019, and then followed by Sonic the Hedgehog, which also scored over 60%. But we are talking 63 and 67, respectively. Detective Pikachu, the second highest rated video game movie of all time, behind only The Angry Birds Movie 2, which has a 73% tomato score. 73. I have not seen Angry Birds Movie 2, and we will use
I saw the
video
first
game movie
one.
in air quotes here loosely.
Yeah, I saw the first one. You could use like video game in air quotes almost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like a mobile
mobile app game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the first one, and my wife and I were watching it with the kids, and it gets to a part where there's a big bird that just takes a giant leak in a pool thing that all the birds were swimming in, and we kind of looked at each other and we're like, all right, like I don't know about this movie, like what? So we didn't even bother seeing the second one.
Gotcha.
But apparently it's the best video game movie there is at 73%.
Yeah, well, the high scoring Resident Evil was the final chapter, which got a 37% tomato meter. And then the first one was just underneath that at 36. Resident Evil Apocalypse managed to get a 19%. And as we talk through some of these movies, I can give you some tomato scores. Yeah. Critics are overly harsh on video game movies. I think Alone in the Dark, which we won't talk about because neither of us have seen it, 1%.
Oh gosh.
1%. Poor Christian Slater. I can't talk like Christian Slater, but I can try to make my face squint up like him. I got 1% on Alone in the Dark. Are you kidding me? I was in cuffs. I was a big deal. 1%.
That's rough.
That's rough. All right, should we get into it?
Let's get into it. Okay, so we're starting with the bad.
All right.
Our first movie that we're talking about, Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Oh gosh.
Now, did you see this in theaters, Charlie?
No.
Oh,
no,
I did. I did.
And you know what? I mean, come on. So they had so all right. Let's step into our time machine here. And the year is what, 94?
Yeah. Yep. 93.
Oh, I got 94 on mine. All right, 93, 94.
93, 94, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there. Okay. And the internet, it doesn't exist like it does today. You can't just like, hey, I want to see a movie trailer. I'm going to just go on YouTube. I'm going to pop on a movie trailer. So if you can imagine a time where we actually got to the movies early, specifically so we could see trailers. I remember seeing the Street Fighter trailer and just wanting to jump into some burning sulfur or something. It looked so bad. Oh, I'm talking Street Fighter. I'm sorry, we're talking Super Mario Brothers.
We're talking Super Mario Brothers.
93. You're right.
Okay.
Street Fighter came second. I got my notes mixed up. But I just remember seeing and Bob Hoskins, who I like Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. I like
young John Leguizamo.
Raul Julia. It's great. But oh man, there was no part of that trailer that looked interesting to me. But go defend your decision to see it in the theaters. Let's go.
Charlie, are you talking about Super Mario Brothers or Street Fighter?
I'm getting them mixed up.
You're talking about Raul Julia. You're talking about the trailer. Charlie, we're talking about Super
Dennis
Mario
Hopper?
Brothers.
Is it Dennis Hopper in there? I can't remember. Let's start over. Start the podcast over.
You say Raul Julia, and I'm like, I think he's still talking about Street Fighter.
I don't know. I got my notes mixed up here, man. There's Super Mario.
We are talking.
I thought we were talking about Street Fighter first. All right, we're going Mario first. Yeah, Dennis Hopper. There he is. Oh my gosh. There it is. Ah. So terrible. Oh, it's terrible. Yoshi, yeah. Yeah.
You know, when this came out, I think it came out in the summer, so I would have been about 10 years old. You know, it looked awesome for a 10-year-old.
So you were even as a kid, you thought this looked cool.
You know, I probably didn't see very much of it. I just knew that it was Mario Brothers, and I loved.
All right, that's fair.
And I forced my older sister to take me, and I remember she didn't want to go, and my mom said, "Brody really wants to see this movie. You should take him." And my poor sister.
Have you apologized to her for that?
But I probably should.
I probably should. You should just send her a random email sometime or a text message.
Yeah.
Hey, my bad.
But I remember seeing it in theaters, and even as a 10-year-old being like, this is not a good movie. Like, why does Bowser look like a human with weird hair? Why do they look like this? Why does Yoshi look like this? You know, like why does this movie look the way that it does? It doesn't make sense. This isn't Mario and Luigi. This is like something completely different. And I remember not being very happy with the movie even at 10 years old. So this is a bad one. I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters almost 20 years ago, 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago.
I think this would be a fun one if you are of age to, just to enjoy in some kind of inebriated state, some kind of altered state to sit down and just trip on the fact that this movie got made and that was released in the theaters. This was after have you watched the old Mario Brothers TV show with your boy Captain Lou Albano? Did you watch some of that?
I mean, I watched it as a kid, but I haven't seen it.
Get hooked on the brothers. I showed my kids I was like, oh, this will be funny. I'll show them this horrible TV shows on like Hulu or Netflix or something. I was like, well, show from the late 80s, 90s. It has a rap theme song. It's just awful. And it has like these weird cartoon segues and just different things. Actually, the cartoon segues were the best part, but like the live action stuff, it is rough. Yeah. But they liked it a little bit, and they were like, and especially my middle son was like, oh, let's watch a few more episodes, and so it was very much a backfire on my part. So I ended up having to watch like 8 or 9 episodes of Mario over like a few weeks span where they no, they love the video games, they love Mario, and it was just enough at the time where they're like, yeah, we can watch more. I should have shown them the movie at some point, but I didn't.
Oh man. So there is Super Mario Brothers. It's a bad one. Is there a tomato meter for Super Mario Brothers?
Oh gosh,
is it too old,
let me look up I was there now, but it is, I think, 21%, I believe. Okay.
It's really bad. It's a very bad movie. And even
24%.
24. Yeah, even as a 10-year-old, I could tell it was bad. So.
Yeah.
All right, now a year later, Street Fighter, the movie came out.
Is that the one with John Leguizamo?
You've been dying to talk about it, Charlie.
That's John Leguizamo, right? That's and Bob Hoskins. Is that
It's let me
Raul Julia? Was this the last movie he made before he
this
died?
was his last movie. Yeah, it was his
It
last movie.
it is rumored that it was so bad that he died after. That was the joke that was inappropriate, but made often back in the
It was because
time.
it was really bad. I saw this in theaters too, thinking it was going to be cool, because at this point I'm 11.
Fool me once, shame on you, bro.
I just wanted a good video game movie so badly.
We
And
got there, like, 95, right? So it's a couple of years later.
yeah, yeah.
This is an interesting run of video game movies in the early 90s, because I mean, I know video games had found a lot of success on the animated television front.
Sure.
Like they'd had a lot of good, like, popular animated video game television shows based on video games. And if you look up a best video game TV list on the internet, you'll find, like, basically they're all just animated kid shows. But there was like a string of movies, and they picked such weird video games to do.
Yeah.
Very strange. We'll talk about that more later.
Well,
but
and fighting games were a big deal. We'll talk about Mortal Kombat in a little bit. But Street Fighter was kind of the other side of the fighting game, right? And so they said, oh, this is a popular thing. Let's make a movie out of it.
make a movie. Why not?
And then
Kids like it.
That's just take all the characters and kind of, I don't know, change them. And for some reason, Guile. Hey, I was a Guile guy. I loved Guile. But
Sure.
but Guile shouldn't have been the main character. Like it was always kind of like, well, Ryu is the main guy and
Yep.
things like that. But it became kind of this Guile and the U.S. Army, and then there were just random characters that were dropped in.
Can we be honest about Street Fighter here for a second? So we got Ryu, we got Blanca, you got Guile, you got Chun-Li, you got Zangief, you got all these colorful characters, and then you have Ken. What? Why do we have Ken? Could we at least have given him, like, a better name? Like, can we give him, like, a cooler name than Ken? And no offense to all the Kens out there, I'm sure you're all lovely, and your name is lovely. It's synonymous with a very famous doll. But come on, Ken. I mean, I hated Ken. I thought Ken was the worst.
Really?
I would never play as Ken. No,
Oh,
Ryu
really?
Ryu and Ken had the same moves. Why would I pick Ken over Ryu?
Because Ken
Ryu's
had-
awesome.
because Ken
Ryu
had the-
looks awesome. Ryu's got an awesome name.
No,
Ken's like, hi, I'm Ken.
I thought Ken was cooler than Ryu. Ken had the fire uppercut that Ryu
No,
didn't have.
Get at it. Oh, you can. Ryu is the best.
It was Shoryuken. Shoryuken was the.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Hayuken.
Oh, come on, man. Come on now.
No, he
Rewind
had the
tape.
fire uppercut. The fire uppercut was awesome.
Ken's terrible. All right, anyway, on we go.
So,
That little red jumper. Get out of here, Ken.
so yeah, so this movie was random and it made no sense. And you had Raul Julia of all people as
Poor Raul.
as
He's so good. He's so talented. I hate that.
as M. Bison. You had Jean-Claude Van Damme at arguably like the height of his career, kind of taking on Guile, and so it was kind of built around Guile. And every once in a while you would get like a random move from from the video game. I remember at one point Guile did the flash kick, and it was kind of like, oh, he did the flash kick. Like that was
Yeah.
it. That was it. So, yeah, it was bad. This was another one that I walked out and I was like, I don't think that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Just disappointed.
But it only took 1 year to wash that taste out of your mouth. So I forgot that it went 93, 94, 95 in a row like that. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So there was Street Fighter, never a sequel.
Yeah. If you've never seen it, I think that might fall into the category of movies that are too bad to even kind of like watch as a joke. I think there are movies that are fun to kind of like hate watch or watch to make fun of, or like get your Mystery Science Theater 3000 on and just I'll put it on and I'll mock it.
Sure.
I think there are some movies that are just too awful, and I think that one might be it.
Sure. But There was another movie the year after that that did get a sequel. And the
couple
sequel,
sequels, I guess.
it got one sequel and then a reboot.
Yeah.
So
and a
we
reboot,
had
that's
Mortal
true.
Kombat in 1995. That is not on our bad list, though. What is on the bad list is the sequel to that
Oh, gosh.
1995 movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which
Oh, so bad.
is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, that
It's-
is not an understatement.
It is very bad. The you know, it went beyond the oh, this is a fun cheesy movie that the first movie was. You know,
Right.
the first movie was a cheesy movie. It wasn't.
It was
you know,
cheesy.
It was cheesy,
Yeah.
but it was fun, and it's still fun to watch. But it's just, and then they made this sequel, and they recast people. They just killed other people off like right away. It just, and I remember that
It didn't
this,
make a lot of sense.
it was so bad. Special effects. Here's a. I pulled
Are
up
we
a
getting an effect shot?
I pulled up a shot of some of the special effects here.
Prepare to have your minds blown. And actually, this is a good example of some of these special effects. The fact that nothing is happening. Oh gosh.
It shouldn't. This movie should not exist.
It should not exist.
It's too bad. It's too bad.
This, by the way, a 2% score on the tomato meter.
It should have been lower. Should have been lower.
Hey, it's got an audience score of 25%. So there are people out there right now outraged that you are
What?
trashing this movie, Brody. It has a core audience of people that love it. It's got to.
This is an unwatchable movie.
I will say that no matter how bad a movie is, there is someone out there who will die, who will go to the mattresses to argue that it is great. And there are people that love this. I bet there are. Let us know in the comments if you are one. I bet Tudong loves this movie. I'm telling you, there are those.
I don't even know if Tudong likes this movie.
We'll find out.
Here's another.
All right, now this one I do think you could watch and make fun of and enjoy, and so I do think it's bad. It's bad in that way.
I don't.
Come on, bro. Come on.
No, you sit and you make fun of it, and then about a half hour in, you're like, I can't do it anymore. Like I just can't.
Did you ever see Mortal Kombat Legacy with your boy Casper Van Dien?
No. What? I never even heard of that.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It was the TV show. Excuse me.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Then we won't talk about it.
Nope. All right. Did you have anything more to add to Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Charlie?
No. But you know what? Instead of watching it, just look up some clips on YouTube or wherever you like to watch small video clips, and just revel in the fact that that was a real thing that exists in the universe.
Yeah. There you go. Watch some clips online. That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do.
Okay. Now, so U-Bowl is kind of an
throw up in my mouth a little bit.
infamous director of, like, I think he's only done video game movies. I don't know if he's done anything else besides video game movies. I remember I read something about how he was able to make movies, and it's he secures the rights somehow and then makes them in other countries, and they're super cheap to make, but they're able to like pay well, which is how they get actual like actors in some of their movies. But he makes horrible movies. Really bad movies.
Horrible. You might be single-handedly have set back the video game to movie industry like but 20 years just by himself.
He probably did, because there's a lot of people that can look at a list of video game movies and see a handful of U-Bowl movies and be like, here, look at all these bad movies. Like, these are video game movies. One of his worst movies that I didn't see, but I remember when it came out, and it was talked about as like one of the worst movies ever. And that was Postal, which yeah, just like offensive is the word that was thrown around a lot. There was it dealt with, I don't know what video game it was set after. I guess there was a video game named Postal.
Yeah.
Dealt with like making fun of terrorism, and it was right around 9/11, and so it kind of mocked that, and just
women with Hitler mustaches and bikinis, and very odd. I also did not see this, and so look, there are certain, like, I've never smashed my face with a mallet, but I know it's going to be terrible. So like this. You don't have to see everything to know that it's bad. And there have been plenty of other people who've seen it for me and told me it's bad. And come on, and this is another one you can watch some clips for, I guess. But yeah, it's man, it is reading different descriptions of the plot. It is. It sounds like a just complete trash movie, and that fits right into the U-Bowl canon, because he is just a person who sucks.
Yeah. Still making movies too. I looked it up because I was like, is he still alive? He is still alive and still making movies.
Still alive, still making movies, still ruining video games for a whole new generation.
Who'd have thought? All right. We don't have to spend too much time on that one.
Thank you. Let's move on to something less like anger inducing.
The next one was Doom. The 1995 Doom movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Before
2005.
What did I say?
95.
Oh, I was so concerned with.
I just want to make sure the people watching at home know.
You're right. 2005. Before The Rock was megastar The Rock. This was like early action star The Rock.
Sure.
Boy, this was another bad one. And I liked the Doom games. I even read the Doom novels when I was young, and so I
didn't realize there were Doom novels.
Oh yeah. I had hoped like, oh, maybe it'll be like the novels. No, it wasn't. It was not at all. It was bad. It was just them up in space. It was The Rock. I believe Carl Urban was in this movie.
Yeah.
And the big standout... Now, did you see this movie, Charlie?
I did not.
Okay. The big standout thing was like, oh, they're going to have this sequence that is in first-person view.
Right. Like the game.
Where you're looking through the eyes of the character like the game is. And so, this...
Yeah.
It was such a bad decision. It was a really, really poor decision. And I get it. Like, they're trying to pay homage to the first-person view of the video game. But, man, it was...
Well, now, what if they'd done the whole movie in first person? What was that movie that came out recently where the whole thing's first person?
Oh, I have no idea. I've never heard of this before. Okay. There's a
I'll
movie
look
that's
it up.
in first person with the whole thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, this is one that I was kind of hopeful on.
Hardcore Henry.
I've never even heard of that. Interesting. Yeah, this is one that... I'm a sucker for video game movies, Charlie. I keep hoping for a good one. And I feel like keep going to the theater and keep getting duped. Ever since I was a kid, I've been duped with these video game movies because I like the video games. And so they say, hey, you like the video games, come see the movie. And I say, okay. And then I show up and it's a bad movie. It's a bad, bad movie. So moving on from there, now this is one that I haven't seen, but you have seen.
Oh.
And that's Prince of Persia.
Yeah. I didn't like it. It's very underwhelming. I think Jake Gyllenhaal as the Persian prince just not doing it for me. There's so many things about this movie that were just kind of meh. And look, we'll talk about in a little bit, or maybe sooner than I think. But I've got a lot of thoughts about what video games, or why would you make a video game into a movie in the first place? But, did you ever play the original Prince of Persia? It was like 20, 30 years ago or whenever that came out on the PC.
On the PC?
You played the first version of Prince of Persia I ever played was on a PC with my buddy.
Oh, was it the side-scrolling one?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And then you and I played the reboot one that I think was on the Xbox.
And we played on the Xbox. Yeah. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
But the movie was not, and it was a little light on story. I mean, look at the time it looked impressive. I mean, it was a big budget film. I think it was a pretty good reason why it was just kind of meh to audiences and kind of didn't do too well. Apparently, and this is crazy talk, you need a good script. Apparently, plot and character are important. These are things that I didn't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but you can see it, and there are people who love it. There are people who swear by it. There are people who enjoy it. I am just not one of those people.
I believe it's streaming on Disney Plus.
Yeah, give it a watch, bro. This does not fit into the category of some of the other ones we've talked about. While I did not like it, and dare I say I may have even hated it, I do not think it's like a joke of a film, like the second, like the Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or the Mario Brothers. It's not something that look, I think it's terrible, but you might like it. You, Brody, or you watching, you may love it, and to each their own. Sure. This one certainly I think is more watchable than some of those other ones that we've talked about. So, okay, but not by much.
Now, as Charlie and I were kind of going through this list in preparation for this episode, we were throwing out names and looking at different stuff, and there were a couple movies that we were kind of like, is this a good one or is this a bad one? And it just they just kind of fell in the middle. So we decided to kind of make this middle ground category of movies and kind of in particular franchises, right? And so one of those was the Tomb Raiders, right? We had the two Angelina Jolies, and then we had the reboot that you mentioned earlier. Now I haven't seen the reboot, but I did see the two Angelina Jolie movies, and they were fine. I haven't seen them in a while. I think I bought them when we were all kind of just buying DVDs just because, and so I was like, I'll pick those up and watch those.
Circuit City going out of business sale. Come on.
Yeah, right. Hey, Best Buy has $5 DVDs. And I think I remember liking them. I haven't watched them, and so I don't know if they've held up. And that's kind of the big thing, right? These came out in the 2000s, like early mid 2000s, I want to say. And so
Cradle of Life was 2003,
and that was the sequel.
That was a sequel. The first one was 2001.
Okay. And so, have these held up? I don't know.
So now I'm going to go ahead and say no, they have not.
Okay.
And by held up, I don't think they were ever thought to be great.
But they were fun adventure flicks.
Yeah, I think they're probably a little light on emotional impact, maybe a little light on plot and story. Yeah, like all the elements in the Tomb Raider franchise are there to make I think a more compelling film. I just think maybe they could have written a better script, which I guess is maybe easy for me to say. Maybe it's harder than I think to just, I don't know, read a script and think that's good or it's bad. Maybe it's hard. Maybe I'm not getting enough credit to people out there, but I just feel like some of these movies. Look, do your own research at home. Go ahead and look at a list of like best or worst video game movies. There's only been like 30 to 40 like big budget video game films, and most of them are just trash. And at some point, someone's got to be reading a script, going, "What are we doing here? What are we doing?" Maybe the scripts are great, and it's just the directors or the producers or the studio interfering and just kind of tanking it all. Who knows? Sure. But I try to go back. My kids watch National Treasure, which is a fine movie. I showed them some of the Indiana Jones stuff, and they were like psyched. So we're like into the treasure hunters.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let me watch a little bit of Tomb Raider by myself just to see if this is worth showing the kids. And I got like 15 minutes in, and I was just like, okay, I can't do this. I can't. I had to pull the ripcord. I'd be like, I challenge you, Brody, to try to watch one of these again. And because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being overly harsh. I think I might have even been the sequel because it was just whatever I could find that was streaming somewhere.
Okay.
Who knows? And the sequel was definitely, I think, worse than the first, but or maybe not.
I think I remember that. I think the sequel was worse.
The first one was John Voight, right? And then
yes.
Okay.
Did they recast him?
I think doesn't he?
I think he dies. Spoilers for a 20-year-old movie.
Gosh, Brody, that's terrible. You got to give people more notice. You don't say the spoiler and then say, "Uh-oh, spoilers" after.
Oh goodness, it's been rebooted. It doesn't matter.
Say spoiler alert, and then people can pause the video or the audio real quick. You don't say he died. Spoiler alert.
Don't worry, there. We'll forget about it before we're even done with this episode.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, so those ones for me, I think you could probably get an enjoyable watch maybe out of them if you just shut off your brain completely. Maybe look at your phone the whole time and just kind of have it on in the background.
Now the reboot I would like to see. I feel like
I did hear good things.
I feel like the reboot is one of those movies that I'm like, oh, I want to see that. And then when I'm looking for something to watch, I never remember it. It's like I don't know if it's streaming anywhere or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which is always kind of the deciding factor because I'm not going to pay to rent it. But yeah, it's one that I remember like watching the trailers and being like, oh, that looks fun. And so, yeah. Is it streaming anywhere, Charlie? Is that what you were looking up?
I'll look it up. I'll see if I can find it somewhere. I'll let you know.
And so we'll see. I know they are working on a sequel to the rebooted Tomb Raider, and so hopefully with a sequel coming out, somebody will pick up the streaming rights for Tomb Raider if it's not streaming someplace already. No, it's not. And then I can watch it because I'd like to see it.
Yeah, there you go.
Look fun.
Yeah. Now, what about the Resident Evil? So there's I think 6 of those. What did you think of those?
Okay, so I enjoyed the.
Apparently.
You
liked them so much you didn't even finish watching them? What's going on?
Well, they just kept coming out, man. I couldn't keep up. I liked the first one. I didn't really like the second one, and the
second one was bad.
It was bad. It was bad. And I think I kind of liked the third one, but honestly I don't remember. But I've seen the first one multiple times. Apparently, James Cameron really likes the first one.
Yeah, so the first one's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. I have not seen. I kind of wanted to see the final one, the final chapter, 2016. I didn't see that. I was curious to see it. This is an interesting example.
You have to watch the 5 before it.
I think I have seen the 5 before.
Have you really? Wow.
Or at least 4. I've seen at least 4.
Oh, okay.
Back in my movie watching days, when I used to just watch things because they were out. This is pre-kids.
Sure.
Pre-kids, I saw a lot more movies pre-kids.
That's probably why I haven't seen the later 3, because we had kids.
My as time becomes more limited, we get to be pickier. And plus, the boom of wonderful television shows. Anyway, we can talk about it later. But yeah, I saw Extinction. I think I saw Retribution. So
Okay.
look, this is an interesting. We do like a whole thought exercise on the Resident Evil franchise because there's this rich history of the game which the movie series just completely ignores.
Yeah.
The main character that's woven throughout all of the movies doesn't exist in the video games, and then they take characters later in the movies from the video games and then kind of like change them and manipulate them to kind of fit into this like alternate universe that they've created. So like it really has nothing to do with the game other than like Raccoon City and there's zombies and
the Umbrella Corporation.
Yeah, like there's like it doesn't have any of so it's interesting because look, there are video game movies that fail or that are bad because they just pander too much to the video game fan. Like they're just like made for like it's too similar to the game. And that doesn't always work because it's a video game and
Sure.
it's not, movie. And then there are ones that just completely ignore the source material and just kind of go this other direction. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we making a Super Mario Brothers movie? What is compelling about the Super Mario universe that like says, I want to make this into, can we segue? Are we segueing into the future here? Can we segue?
No.
No, we have more. You want to talk more Resident Evil? All right, go ahead.
Well,
is there more in the middle?
We do have more in the middle.
Okay, all right, fine.
With the last, so the last one for the middle is the most recent one, which is the Mortal Kombat 2021. Now, I liked this more than Charlie did. You can go and watch our review. We did a full review of this.
A plug. Nicely done.
I enjoyed it. It's cheesy. It's fine, but it was fun. Charlie didn't care for it and was mad that I made him watch it, but you know.
Was it? All right. Hey, no spoilers. Go watch it. Maybe I loved it. Maybe he's lying.
Maybe. But this was one that just kind of, I think, kind of fell in the middle. I think it wasn't a horrible movie, but it also wasn't a great movie.
I would agree with that.
You know, the special effects and things.
We haven't
like
touched about the good.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on the good yet. So
all right, we're going too slow. Let's look, the good is funny because I feel like it's such a short list, right? We're including. No, you haven't flashed the poster. Like this is what like they created a new character just for this movie. This is an example of just ignoring the source material completely.
Sure.
And the worst parts of this movie were the parts that didn't exist in the game.
Yes.
And the moments that worked were the moments that were the most true to the series.
Sure thing.
But anyway, well, watch our review.
Let's
talk about the good, Brody. I'm getting fired up here.
So coming from Mortal Kombat 21, we can go to Mortal Kombat 1995.
Yes, let's do it.
Hey, now this Mortal Kombat, it's got one in the bad, got one in the middle, got one in the good. Is this a good movie? No, it's not. Is it watchable? And can it be enjoyable? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I just watched it a few months ago. We've talked about this. I enjoyed it. I just have fun with it. The special effects aren't great. The acting isn't great. There's a ton of logic holes. But it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun movie to watch. So,
sure.
It's very much like 1990.
Look at all that hair. It's an interesting choice for a first date film, bro. Well done. Well done. Your first date was in 6th grade? You had your beard then. Brody was an early bloomer.
But it was the 90s. Everybody had goatees in the 90s. Am I right?
Not in 6th grade, bro. Not in 6th grade. They didn't.
It was dark then. It didn't have all this gray. So I don't need to elaborate on more.
If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a fun watch.
It's streaming on Netflix. Go watch it. It's a good.
Why not?
Time. All right. So now some like actually like really I think are really quality movies. These next two. So the first one we were talking about, Detective Pikachu, right? My goodness.
So cute.
Uh, how was this such a good movie, Charlie?
First of all, full disclosure, I'm a huge Pokemon fan.
You
So,
are. You are.
and this is by far the most successful franchise in terms of video game to television and to movie. I mean, this is, and they're like just number one across the board. 20 years that anime has been on the television, by the way. 20 years and still going strong on Netflix. The kids love the show. Some of the movies, we were talking before we started. Some of the movies, so basically like Aladdin 2, Aladdin 3, kind of straight to DVD, kind of fare, but
Sure.
still enjoyable for the Pokemon fan. But this movie does a great job, I think, of bringing Pokemon to a wider audience. And that's one of my big issues with video game movies in general is one of the great things video games. I love video games, and I will love video games till the day I die. I've got a lot of friends that do not play video games, that do not care about video games, that do not want to listen to me tell them how cool it was when I caught, my very first Snorlax playing Pokemon Go, or they've like no patience for me like trying to describe scenes from Uncharted, or like no The Last of Us. Oh my gosh, I cried, or Heavy Rain. Oh my gosh, it's gut wrenching. You're dumb. You're these are video games. What are you talking about? But this was such a cool movie to like sit and to see some of that universe come alive. Like, you're a big Ryan Reynolds fan. He was obviously great as the voice of Pikachu. He's very fun. I thought it was well cast. I thought it was well made. I thought the story was compelling. I thought it really brought something that I love and that my family loves into a universe. Movies where I could then discuss that with people that would otherwise not ever pay any attention to Pokemon.
They made it accessible. Which is a big deal. I haven't played Pokemon, but I could go in with like the base level knowledge that I have, and like they laid it all out, and I was like, okay, I can get into this.
It's a good story. It was a well done. So, and I hope the rumor is there will be a sequel. I hope that they do it, and I hope it's good.
I mean, this was pretty successful. This made them a lot of money. I would be surprised if they didn't. I'm surprised there isn't already a sequel. This came out in like 2019, and so
the pandemic. It slowed everything down. What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I'm gonna bring it up again because it's just so cute. Look.
He's really cute.
So cute.
In 10 years, there'll be genetically engineered Pikachus running around, and we'll be able to have them as pets. Can't wait.
Can't wait. All right. So then, moving on. So we had Pikachu, and then they were like, we're going to make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Boy, I did not have faith in this. Maybe this was like me getting older.
Do you have a picture of the early Sonic design? Oh,
and this was amazing. The backlash was so bad that the studio went in and like redid all of Sonic to this better version that is so much better.
It's so much better.
So much. And then I didn't see this movie in theaters because I was like, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. It's got Jim Carrey. Like, what is this? It's Sonic the Hedgehog. And then we saw it when it came to Redbox or something like that. And this movie was so funny.
Yeah.
I like both me and Amy like laughed out loud multiple times, and I was like, how is this movie as good as it is? It doesn't make sense.
It was good. Like my kids it was like perfect timing. They started playing the Sonic video games, and it was like, all right, look, these are both these two movies are definitely like family films.
Sure.
They're from family franchises, stuff that you can enjoy, I think, as an adult, but also it helps to have like movies like this that are enjoyable as an adult that also really appeal to kids. So great from that perspective. But I don't think you have to be a parent or to be watching it with kids to get some enjoyment out of it. I think it's just a good movie. But I mean, I used to watch Pixar movies before kids, so what do I know? I like the Sonic movie. I thought it was funny. I thought it was clever, and I'm definitely excited to see a sequel. It was fun to see Sonic come to life on the screen. I thought Jim Carrey was good. I'm not always a Jim Carrey fan, but I thought he was really good in that. James Marsden was good. I think it was just an entertaining little flick.
James Marsden is always good.
Okay, we did see the same X3, right? That was a movie that we saw.
He was barely in that. They killed him off screen.
It's terrible. Little floating glasses. Oh, don't put it back up. If you're gonna put that on, what picture I'm gonna put on.
Don't do it, Charlie. Doggone it.
All right, I won't. But so look, now we can segue, right? I think that this is an important, taking a character, a beloved character, is one way that, and creating a universe for it to take video games and put them into mainstream. But it helps when you have a cachet like a Sonic or in this case, Pikachu, things like that. Something that has like a certain fan base and then kind of bringing it to life in a different way. I don't think that works as well with something like Mario, because Mario's like a guy. He's like a dude. It's not a cute furry animal. It's just that source material doesn't translate to film as well, at least not like a live action, in my opinion. And I've never played a Mario game and thought, man, that story was so, compelling.
Sure.
But there are movies that are being made, like a TV show, an episodic television show of The Last of Us, which I am just so excited for, because that's a game that you play and it just rips your heart out, and it's so emotional, you get so invested, and then it's like, I want to talk to people about that. But the only way I can explain this is if people have played the video game. And that's one where it's not about the characters so much. I mean, the characters are important to the story, but the story is so compelling. The storytelling is so compelling. And to put that into a TV series instead of a movie makes me so happy. I would not want that to be a 2-hour film. You can't, as gamers, we invest so many hours into a video game, and you get attached to these characters because they're you. They're an extension of you. You're playing as these characters for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then to try to kind of boil that down to some hacked up 2-hour film, no, thank you. And I don't know how deep you want to get in this, but something like Max Payne or Hitman, where they're like, well, the Hitman games are supposed to be stealthy. You're supposed to be you're spending all this time investing into sneaking around and creeping, and then and then not making, and then they come out with this Timothy Olyphant's just blowing everything up. He's just shooting everything in sight, and it doesn't have the spirit of the video game. It's more than just a bald guy with a gun. There's more. There's the spirit of the game has something to do with. In Max Payne, they had little cartoon characters running around instead of the game dream sequences and stuff. It was just just weird swings and misses of just the spirit of the game, what makes the game great, and then not being able to translate that on the screen, and then taking things where the story isn't compelling and then trying to create a new story around a character that's not compelling in and of itself. If you take away the gameplay of Hitman, he's just an assassin, which we already have that movie thousands of times over. Yeah. So there's nothing interesting or unique other than he's bald. The gameplay is interesting and unique, and same the Assassin's Creed movie, the gameplay is fun and the storytelling is fun in the games and stuff. But when you take that and you kind of try to remove that and try to put it into more of a real world thing, it loses it a little bit. I wish the Assassin's Creed had done the first video game, the story, where he doesn't know the animus and all that stuff. Tell that story would have been more interesting, I think, than trying to catch people up on decades of video game play and things. And the marketing for that was terrible. It was you got old world scenes, and then you're mixing that with EDM music and weird images of eagles and stuff. If you've never played the game, you just think, what is this? What is this? There's a stigma attached to video game movies that it's just for kids, or it's going to be lame because it's video games, childish, whatever. So you got to overcome that. Marketing, the way these movies are marketed is just terrible. Sure. Does not do a good job of making it seem that interesting. Why don't you share some thoughts, and then I've got more.
Well, and I think that a lot of times you have video games that are. A story-driven game is kind of at the minimum an 8-hour game of storytelling, of progression, of character development, where you are spending all this time with the character. And so to take these games and, like you were saying, condense them, I think it really hurts the chances of it being good because you have to cut so much out. It's like when you take out stuff from books, like there's always that thing of like the book is always better. Well, the book has, 28 chapters to develop these characters, and you're trying to condense it into
tell the story,
90 minutes or 2 hours if you can, like a little over 2 hours. But even then, we're going through the Harry Potter books with the kids right now, and then they watch it and then we're able to watch the movie, and even those movies come at like 2.5 hours, and there's still so much that they have to cut. And the same thing happens with the video games. And so then you have all this stuff that you cut. I know we kind of have our wish list that we will touch on, but it's you just lose so much in that translation. So I agree. I think that a video game to show would be a better idea, because you can take your time with all of that. You can kind of let things play out over time, and you're not into just like bang bang bang, all right, credits. And you don't have to follow that like typical movie of like, here's a character, here's an origin, here's a conflict, here's the resolution, and we're done. And now there's a sequel. So
Assassin's Creed TV show would have been way cooler because you could have played out like without the reveal could have come later on in the episode. It could have just you start in this olden setting, old-timey setting, and you just have assassins and Templars and all this like cool, and then all of a sudden you flip this up on its end for a season finale, and it could have been really cool.
But you can't do that in a movie because you've got 90 minutes, 2 hours. And so
how good a game was Black Flag? Oh, it's not fun.
I didn't play it.
Oh,
sorry. And so so there's kind of our thoughts on like the issues and the struggles that video games have. Now we have. Okay, go on.
Oh no, I think you have to get people involved that are passionate about the projects. You got better directors than you bowl. Like you got to get like how cool like a Mass Effect movie by Christopher Nolan, right?
Oh, don't tease me.
Although by the way, that would just be a way better television show. I mean, come on, how many hours of gameplay did you put in Mass Effect? Like 40 something?
Oh, way more than that. well, I've got Mass Effect on my wish list. I'll touch on that.
Okay, all right. But I think getting people that have like are familiar with the source material, creating a good script, and then putting together a project where people are passionate about the source material and that care about delivering a quality product. Just keep in mind like what makes it compelling. Like what is going to sell? Is it the story? Is it the characters? Is it the universe? And is that going to be different enough? Like a Grand Theft Auto movie would be really weird because it would just be kind of like a movie that we've seen a bunch of times. What made Grand Theft Auto like mind blowing to me the first time I played like Vice City was like it's just open world and I can make all these different choices. Like it was the gameplay that sold it. Like not the story was cool. Like don't get me wrong, the story was neat, but like it wasn't like the story wasn't compelling. It was the gameplay that was compelling. And so you'd have to find a way to like really kind of translate some of that material over. And I just don't know like a game like Grand Theft Auto needs to be a movie when it works so much better. Its functionality is so much better as a game. But yeah, so let's segue into some wish lists.
So, well, before we got that, we have some stuff that is currently in development.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So you had
Uncharted.
You had touched on The Last of Us, and so I think they were planning on a movie, and then we just read that it's actually going into become an HBO show.
Pedro Pascal,
and so that's exciting. I haven't played the game. I was too scared, so. Maybe I'll check out the show, and hopefully it won't be too scary. We also have Sonic 2. Sonic 2, with the success of Sonic 1, they're going to...
We get Tails.
Yeah, we got the tease of Tails. I think they talked about having a Sonic 2 and a Sonic 3.
We got to get Knuckles in, so...
I know, right? Well, they got the tease because the guys in the beginning were Knuckles species. Mm-hmm. So we have Sonic 2. I believe they've finished filming, so they're just in their like post right now. So I think,
Yeah.
and I think that's coming out early 2022, if I remember. They put out a little teaser, so
Yeah.
that is coming. And then the other big one is Uncharted. Now, Uncharted is a big adventure, you know,
So good. I love the Uncharted games.
jumping around, treasure hunting, shooting, you know, all this stuff. I have played
Nice
all
Mark
the
Wahlberg
games.
in it.
But he's Sully. It's okay. We're getting Tom Holland. You love
Sully.
Tom Holland, Charlie.
I do love Tom Holland, but we got Sully's he's sullying his reputation by having Mark Wahlberg play him.
Now, I think we're supposed to be getting a trailer soon.
I'm nervous about that. I'm really nervous about this movie. I want it to be good so bad. Because I just love the game so much. I'm just nervous. I'm nervous that it's going to be terrible. It should be a TV show, Brody. Should have been a TV show.
It'd be good. It'd be good. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how Uncharted plays out. I think I like Tom Holland. I don't think I've seen him in anything other than Spider-Man. I'm really curious to what else has he been in?
I'm gonna quiz you in a second here. But go ahead. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
I'm really curious to. He wouldn't be like my initial guess as a Nathan Drake, though. Nathan Drake, just I don't know. Yeah, that when I think of Nathan Drake, I don't think of Tom Holland. So I think that's an interesting casting choice. But I'm interested. I really want to see how this is going to turn out. I hope they put out a trailer soon. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off. And the source material is great. Have you heard, like, are they doing a just unique script?
I don't know.
Set in the universe of Uncharted?
I'm not sure. Or if they're following Uncharted 1 or I'm not sure.
So much good material to choose from.
There is.
Please don't screw it up.
I know.
Please don't screw it up.
I know, right?
And by the way, if you look, even if you're not a big avid gamer, if you have access to a PlayStation, play the Uncharted games. They are so enjoyable, entertaining. You don't have to be great at video games. You play it on like the easiest setting and just enjoy the atmosphere and the storytelling, and the gameplay's fun too. So even if you're not like a huge gamer, I think it's really worth playing through and enjoying the experience.
Sure. And
play through all four, and get even the random one that you get the fifth one on the Vita game. You can play through that on the PS Now. You play them all.
I'm playing through the fourth one right now. Not like as we're talking, but like currently.
Right now. Right now as I'm filming this,
I've got that on the other screen right now. I'm just playing.
That would be impressive.
Every time I look over, I'm actually playing the game and shooting somebody.
We should have a whole podcast where we're playing a video game so you can stay on topic.
Oh goodness. That would be interesting.
We have some interesting shows coming up. We'll have some fun in the future. Maybe add it to the list. But yeah, I hope that's good. I hope it's good.
Okay, so now we made up a little wish list. Okay, we've got video games that we have played that we've thought that would make a good movie. I think the number one, kind of on everybody's list, right, is the Zelda. The Legend of Zelda. I think that's been one of those. Wouldn't that be great? It would be interesting because Link doesn't speak, but yeah. What do you think about a Zelda movie, Charlie?
I think it probably would be terrible. I have zero confidence that it could be done well. That's a game like where like the characters are kind of like interesting, I guess, enough on their own, but what makes the games great is the length and breadth and depth of the adventures. It's a game anyway. You pick your favorite Zelda game. What? By the way, how would you rank your top 3 Zelda games, real quick? Come on, rapid fire. Come on. Top three.
Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild. No, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Breath of the Wild. Oh, but I got to get Link to the Past in there. I also really liked.
It's too hard, right?
Lynx Awakening. Oh, jeez. I don't know.
Like there's, well, I think one of the other problems with video game to movies sometimes is there's things that are really neat in a video game that just don't necessarily translate as well. Like, can you imagine watching a film and then someone pulls out like a little magic ocarina flute and starts playing it and summons like a travel? It just like it's awesome in the game. I don't know if that's awesome in a movie. There's just elements like Breath of the Wild. My wife loves cooking the food and the recipes. Like that's like her favorite. She. And like they dance in the little pan and stuff. Like there's just like little subtle things that just make the game really vibrant. And there's so much to the game that it can appeal to such a broad audience of people playing it, because there are people who can play it, to get every little achievement. My wife also loves taking the photos. So she's getting, in like one of these heated battle sequences, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like pulling out the camera to like snap like a good clear of the guy that's about to kill her. It's a different experience. Like you can play it so many different ways. I just don't have a lot of faith. You tell me it's a TV show, I'm gonna get excited, because then we can take one of the many adventures that are laid out in any of the amazing video games, and we can kind of stretch it out like a Game of Thrones style television show. The new Lord of the Rings television show is coming. It's Lord of the Rings, right?
Yep.
To Amazon.
Yep.
You tell me it's that. Now I'm back in. Now I'm excited. But you tell me you're condensing one of these great games or stories into like a 2-hour, like I'm not excited.
Zelda I think it would just be a tough one to do. Like how good would a Breath of the Wild movie be good? Right? No. You wake up, you don't know who you are, and then in the movie you would really like do a small quest, get off the plateau, and then you would really quickly go to the 4 animals, and then you would go to like that whole game is about exploring and going through the land and doing these upgrades, which are all things that would not translate well to a movie.
TV show. All right, give me another one. Give me another game.
Okay, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
The Star Wars, Ubisoft was an amazing game. I think this would make a really good movie, but probably a better TV show. So put it on Disney Plus.
Yes. Thank you.
Let's just, yeah. What else do you say? I think people have been clamoring for a Knights of the Old Republic show or movie or something.
Yes, please.
Since this came out in 2002, like
it's been a long time.
And we keep getting like movies that aren't as good, and people are like, just do it. You got a story.
Just do this.
You have a story.
There
Why
it
are
is.
you putting out stories that aren't as good when you've got a story right there? So
right there for you. It's right there for the taking. I think that in our lifetimes, I think that will happen.
It might. I think. Okay, so Knights of the Republic, Castlevania. I know.
Now this one I think could work.
Now there is a Netflix anime show,
and it's good.
I haven't
Have
watched
you watched it.
I think
it's good.
I think I watched the first episode one time, but I remember nothing else about it. So I know there's a lot of lore, there's a lot of story that these, because there's been a ton of games. And so there's a lot of source material that they could pull from to create this story with the Belmonts and Dracula and things like that. So this would be interesting. It would be interesting.
Yeah, I think this could be done. I think it could be done. It has the potential to be done well. I think there's enough of an interesting lore that would separate it from just like being another vampire story.
Sure.
But it would have to be done with like the anime's cool. Like do it like the anime. It would just have to be done well in order for it to work. And I think it would, like everything in here. I'm going to be a broken record. It'd be a better TV show, but whatever.
And then similar to Castlevania, we've got Metroid. Metroid, I think, would be a really good movie or a show. I think that one could actually go either way. There's not a whole lot of story to go. Now, I haven't played like a lot of the newer stuff. I'm basing a lot of this off of like Super Metroid, which was an amazing game, but light on story and really just kind of exploration. But I think that would be a neat thing that could translate to either TV show or movie.
Yeah. Let me lay a couple on you. I think Red Dead Redemption would be a fantastic television show. And I don't know if you ever played. Did you play that?
Nope.
It is such a good game. I really recommend it. And
I was always too scared to, because I knew I would get sucked in and I would dump 100 hours into it.
it's really good. It's really compelling, and the storytelling is fantastic. And it would be a great television show. And look, it could be an interesting movie, especially if it was done well enough to create like a franchise. But I really like that one. What about Bioshock?
Oh, that's
Interesting,
a
a
good one.
Bioshock game?
Now, they were trying to make a Bioshock movie for a long time. I think it was who did the Pirates of the Caribbean movies?
Bruckheimer?
No, he didn't direct it. I think it was whoever directed like the second
I don't know.
the second Pirates of
Jerry
the Caribbean
Bruckheimer?
movie. No, he just produced it.
Okay.
Whoever directed the second and third Pirates of the Caribbean movies was attached to a Bioshock movie for a while, and they just
Gore Verbinski?
yes, Gore Verbinski was attached to those for a while, and then it just kind of got into developmental hell and fell apart.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see that. I think like God of War would be interesting. I don't know if you ever played any of the God of War games, but I think that kind of storytelling I think would translate pretty well. There's other ones. Did you have any more on your like Mass Effect? Obviously.
So like for anybody that's watched our video game episode would know that probably the big one that I would want to see is Seaman, because I love Seaman. Can we just get a 2-hour movie about this fish evolving that will talk to the audience? Come on.
Oh my gosh.
Come on. So good.
If it was interactive, like on Netflix, picture you can just talk to Seaman on Netflix, and then the whole show is like you are controlling what happens in the show by talking to Seaman.
Netflix had some shows that were like that you could choose things. But the other big one is Mass Effect. Obviously, like I am a huge Mass Effect fan. Hundreds of hours. You mention a number and it's way over that. I think like the first one was like 35 hours. The second one was about 45 hours. The third one was like 65 hours. And then I want to say that the Andromeda was like 130 hours by itself. And so I am a huge Mass Effect fan. And so I've been so hopeful for a Mass Effect movie, but I worry about a Mass Effect movie at the same time.
Yeah.
Would I love to see a movie? Yes. Do I want to see a bad Mass Effect movie? No, I don't.
But you would. There's no way to. How do you make a movie out of that? It's got to be a TV show. They would have
to greenlight 3 movies at one time and just film 3 movies at one time or something like that.
And just film them all in a row and separate them.
But now with the streaming things, I really would like to see an HBO or Disney Plus, probably not Disney Plus because they don't own it. But HBO. An HBO like Mass Effect show that is big and epic and can take its time to go through all the stories, because there's so much story. There is so much story in these, and you can easily do 3 seasons, or more.
Easy.
So that's like number 1 on my wish list. Is I want to see a Mass Effect show, movie, something. Give it to me. But the other hard part is that, kind of like what you mentioned, in Mass Effect, the Commander Shepard that I played with is my Commander Shepard. And it's so customizable. And the big thing of Mass Effect is the decisions. And the decisions that you make affect the outcomes in later games. And that's a big thing. And so I would be watching a different Shepard than my Shepard. And so I'd have to kind of figure that out. And that's a tough thing.
Yeah, and it's a really big deal, because there is a connection between player and character, and not every, especially a game like Mass Effect where your decisions have impacts beyond in the totality of the universe. You're absolutely right. It might be really hard for people to accept a different character than the one that they created for themselves. But at the same time, like you're someone who loves Mass Effect. You got the tattoo. You're wearing the Mass Effect shirt. It'd be I think worth the risk, especially on like an HBO vehicle or something like that, to be able to say to people Mass Effect, and they're like, oh, okay, I have a frame of reference for that now. Hopefully, for your sake, it would be a positive frame of reference and not like, oh, that's the worst movie I've ever seen. But it'd be neat to be able to share some of the stories, even if it differed a little bit from the hardcore fan, and made them feel a little bit like, oh, that's not the Shepherd I love, but like,
Sure.
garnered like a whole new world of audience. I mean, it might be worth it.
Yeah.
I say worth it.
I think so too. I would love to see it.
All right.
So there.
Anything else to add, Mr. B?
So there we are. There's the good, the middle, the bad, the hopeful, the wish list. I think we covered a lot of movies.
We will do a trailer reaction video for Uncharted
when it comes out. Yes,
we'll do a trailer reaction video when that comes.
Yes, we will. So there you go. What do you guys think? Do you guys like video game movies?
What are your favorite and least favorite video game movies? Yeah, come on, let us know.
All right, Charlie, did you have anything else to add?
Hey, thank you for being here with us. If you have not yet liked or subscribed, feel free. Beneath me are some other videos, like our favorite video games and other movie video related things that we've talked about in the past. Our Mortal Kombat review, trailer reactions, all sorts of fun stuff. Below Brody is our subscribe button. Make sure you click that so that you never miss a video when it pops. Look out for us on Wednesdays, and we will see you again next week with some fun stuff.
All right. Bye-bye.